Hello friends, today we'll be talking about one of my favorite video game franchises, and I think probably Daisy's favorite as well. What do you think? What do you think, Daisy? We're talking about Battlefield. It's a very serious subject, so I thought I would bring Daisy along to keep me in line, you know. It was recently announced that DICE LA, the support studio, I guess, for DICE in Sweden, is making the next Battlefield game. And supposedly, I don't think Daisy believes that this is coming this year, but supposedly it's coming this year. What do you think? To celebrate the new Battlefield, we'll be doing a Battlefield tier list. And then we're going to talk about why this whole DICE LA announcement is important. And it is. It is important. We're faced with some difficult decisions today, and I've presented here a collection of Battlefield games that I am familiar with. I'm not comfortable ranking all of the Battlefield games, so I'm just gonna go with what I know. I've played most, if not all, Battlefield games, but not extensively and not like at the time that they came out, so we're just gonna, you know. So I think we should start off with the S tier, and while I'm not super familiar with Battlefield 2, I have played it, and it is good, and it seems like the glory days, I guess, that people talk about, like Battlefield 2, and there's so many mods that came from it, like Project Reality, so the influence of Battlefield 2 and it as a game back in the day, it was an unmatched experience. Bad Company 1, I think, is a good game, but I'm gonna have to put it in the B tier. All of the games here are good games. Contrary to popular belief, I don't think there was ever a bad Battlefield game, so I just have it S, A, and B tier, and I think Bad Company is a B tier. One, because it wasn't on PC, this was just a console game, which is probably why people talk about Bad Company 2 so much, because it's a Battlefield game. It's got to be on PC. So yeah, Bad Company was a good game, but it only had, I think, 24 players, and it was a bit bare bones, and it didn't get that much content after the fact. So it's a good game, but not amazing. Battlefield 1943, not 1942, I think is in a similar tier. It's also wasn't on PC. It's basically like a console version of 1942 with less content but better graphics. It was a ton of fun for $15, and I kind of wish they did like more games like this, but everything has to be like the biggest the biggest AAA billion-dollar experience ever, so whatever. Bad Company 2, I mean, is it really any surprise? It's an S tier game. It is an incredible experience. It improved upon everything that Bad Company did, and it was on PC, so you could play, like, I guess up to 64 players, at least 48. And yeah, it's great. I have Bad Company 2 Vietnam in here because it's essentially a different game, and I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I think as far as like expansions go, as DLC goes, like it was incredible. I think it was also only like $15 or $20, and for what you got out of it, like, dude, it was amazing. This one might Battlefield 3. This one might ruffle some feathers, but I'm going to put it in the A tier, and I know a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia surrounding. I'll put it at the front of the A tier. Let's do that. Not like it really matters, but Battlefield 3 was a good game depending on, I guess, what platform you were playing it on. And I know this is kind of not really fair, but Battlefield 3 on console was pretty miserable experience, and it threw out a lot of the destruction that Bad Company 2 introduced, and it was just like... But the main reason I put Battlefield 3 in the A tier is because I think that Battlefield 4 is better, and so I'm going to put it above it in the S tier. And I think because it brought back more destruction, not a ton. Battlefield 4 is still lacking. Like, for the longest time, Bad Company 2 was still the most destructible and most like focused. And Battlefield 4 1 had some amazing like expansions. Unfortunately, the way paid DLC works, you can't really play a lot of the DLC maps for this game anymore, but I think that Battlefield 4 is basically Battlefield 3 but better. Sue me, I guess. That's it for the for the S and A tiers, because Battlefield 1 is it's a B tier game. I really truly believe that. And I know people look back fondly on it after Battlefield 5. Yes, it is. It's the last like solid Battlefield game, I guess. But Battlefield 1 was a disappointment for anyone who actually wanted a World War I game. And I know it's a AAA shooter, like, but it was so odd that most of the game consists of like hip firing SMGs and using assault rifles and stuff like that. They didn't really try to balance the game differently than Battlefield 4. It's just it really feels like Battlefield 4 with a World War I skin. I think it's a good game. Again, all of these games are good, but I would put this in the B tier, and then obviously Battlefield 5 in the B tier. I think this might be like a controversial opinion, but I really think that Battlefield 5, in terms of its gameplay, like, I understand that they changed the time to kill multiple times. The original time to kill, I think, was really good, and the way that the guns felt and the way that the movement was and the reintroduction of like more destruction, I think is great. The only reason it's in the B tier is because of the content. The content is absolutely horrendous, and it took them a really long time to put in like, oh, this is that good stuff, like with the Pacific. It took them forever to even put an M1 Garand in the game. Like it's just yeah, and all the maps are like pretty mediocre. So I think B tier only in terms of like content, really. Other than that, I do think Battlefield 5 has underrated gameplay. So Daisy was yelling at me from the sidelines. I know she doesn't agree with my list, but I would like to know what you think. Let's hear it in the comments. Nerds, think you know more than me? This is the reason we're actually making this video in the first place. This is Vince Zampella, the, gosh, I would say modern father of FPS games. For those of you who don't know his history, he started off in 2015 games, not the year 2015, but a studio called 2015, and they developed Medal of Honor Allied Assault. Now, Allied Assault was the third game in the Medal of Honor series, and I believe it was the first Medal of Honor on PC, and it was a huge hit. Everyone loved it. And then they left to form their own studio with not EA, but Activision, and that was called Infinity Ward. Now, Infinity Ward went on to make Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, and Modern Warfare 2. And then after that, they said, actually, screw Activision. We don't like those guys. And Activision actually said, screw these guys, and they said, no, screw you. It was a whole thing. So they went on to make Respawn, who, as you all, I'm sure, know, makes just about every good EA game these days, including Titanfall and Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Is that what it is? Oh. Medal of Honor, then Call of Duty, then Titanfall, Apex Legends, and now, according to multiple sources, Vince Zampella will be working on the next Battlefield game. So I'm not going to bring up the actual tweet because it's just a tweet of a guy saying that he's working on the next Battlefield game, but this guy is employed, works at DICE LA, which is the studio that helped DICE proper, I guess you could call them, make the last few Battlefield games. They worked on like DLC, you know, they made maps, they helped fix Battlefield 4, I believe. They're a support studio. They're almost like I guess like Sledgehammer, where they helped make Modern Warfare 3 because Infinity Ward was all in this turmoil because they had left, fractured the team. So Sledgehammer came in, helped out Infinity Ward make Modern Warfare 3, and then Sledgehammer went on to be their own studio making Call of Duty, and now they're back to being in a sort of roundabout way. This guy announced that DICE LA was creating the next Battlefield game. Now, the reason this is all important is because Zampella is now in a sort of producer, overseer, guidance counselor, creative guy for DICE LA, which in this Los Angeles Times article is saying that he's probably, quote, "We will probably rebrand. We want to give it a new image. We want people to say, this is a destination you can go and make new content." I think they've kind of gotten the branding that they are the support studio for DICE Stockholm. I think rebranding is important for showing people, hey, come work here. We're going to do some amazing things. The studio, he stresses, will be, quote, separate from DICE Stockholm and separate from Respawn. And then we have Laura Meal saying, I think under Vince's leadership, the expectation is to have them work on and create a game of their own, which I think is odd because when this originally came out, people were excited like, oh, Vince Zampella is going to guide this new studio who was generally liked for their work on Battlefield and create a new franchise. But they're not. They are technically working on a new game, but it really seemed like through their language that they were going to make a new game. But I think this is a good indication that things aren't going so well at DICE Stockholm, and or they are busy working on the technology side of Frostbite, and they had this like weird oh, we're working on the next generation of Battlefield and it's gonna be the biggest thing ever, sort of reel in some EA Play thing. They like to do that with all their studios. They say, we're working on something amazing, it's gonna be the best thing ever, and they don't actually show any like gameplay. It's just like kind of concept art stuff. To recap, this guy worked on Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Titanfall, Apex Legends. Now he's going to work on the next Battlefield game. So what do y'all think about the Battlefields and the Vince Zampellas? Hopefully he can deliver once again. I don't doubt him, but I do have a bit of doubt in the franchise as a whole. I don't know. I want it to be successful. I want there to be a glorious Battlefield comeback. And I think there will be one of these days. I don't think EA is just going to give up on Battlefield. I really do hope that it's this year that comeback happens. So we'll see. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.